we are not talking here about robust debate, however robust it is. We are talking about mindless abuse. And in my case, the mindless abuse has been characteristically racist and sexist. And just to outline, I've had death threats. I've had people tweeting that I should be hung if, quotes, they could find a tree big enough to take the fat bitch's weight. There was an EDL-affiliated Twitter account, hashtag burn Diane Abbott. I've had rape threats, described as a pathetic, useless, fat, black piece of shit, ugly, fat, black bitch, and nigger. Nigger over and over again. And one of my members of staff said that when people ask her, what is the most surprising thing about coming to work for me? The most surprising thing for her is how often she has to read the word nigger. And this comes in through emails, through Twitter, through Facebook. But where I disagree with the Honourable Gentleman, he seems to suggest that this is all a relatively recent thing around the time of this election. That's not my experience. That really is not my experience. It is certainly true that online abuse, the online abuse that I experience and others experience, has got worse in recent years, and it does get worse at election time. But I don't put it down to a particular election. I think the rise in the use of online has turbocharged abuse. Because, 30 years ago, when I first became an MP, if you wanted to attack an MP, you had to write a letter, usually in green ink, you had to put it in an envelope, you had to put a stamp on it, and you had to walk to the post box. Now they press a button and you read vile abuse, which 30 years ago people would have been frightened to even write down. So I accept that male politicians get abused too. But I hope the one thing we can agree on in this chamber is that it is much worse for women. Absolutely. And I think as well as the rise of online, anonymity is the thing. People would not come up to me and attack me for being a nigger in public. But they'll do it online. And I'm telling you, this isn't once a week. This isn't during an election. This is every day. My staff switch on the computer, they go onto Facebook, they go onto Twitter, and they see this stuff. Okay.
Everything the Honourable Lady said, I agree with. I don't think my Honourable friend was saying that this is a new thing. We've all had it for years on social media, and she's had it in a particularly terrible way. I think what's different now is how some of this is being driven by the language of political leaders. When you address a rally with posters of the severed head of the Prime Minister and don't do anything about it, and when leaders say, ditch the bitch in relation to the Prime Minister, this is the problem we have at the moment with this dehumanisation of each other in politics.
We will have to agree to disagree. We'll have to agree to disagree. The type of racist and sexist abuse, I'm afraid I can't give way because I'm mindful of the time. The type of racist and sexist abuse I get is not tied to any events in this particular election campaign. The other thing I should say, because I'm mindful of the time, this is not just about politicians. It's not even about just women politicians. Any woman that goes into the public space can expect this type of abuse. People will remember how Mary Beard, the historian, had horrible abuse online because she was on Question Time.
The Honourable Lady was making a very powerful speech, but I'm conscious we only have 11 minutes to get other members in. I wish you'd draw remarks to a conclusion.
So in closing, I'd like to say three things. First, there is a relationship between online abuse and mainstream media commentary. At the very least, we always see, my office, a spike in abuse after there's been a lot of negative stuff in the media. Online abuse and abuse generally is not the preserve of any party or of any faction of any party. And to pretend that devalues a very important argument. Yeah. So I'm glad we've had this debate. It gives me no pleasure to talk about what I've experienced, not during the last election, but for years. But let's get this debate straight. It's not about a particular party. It's not about a particular faction. It's about the degradation of public discourse online.